The National Institutes of Health reports that more than 6.5 million people suffer from heart failure nationwide, and half of them have a deadly condition called HFpEF, nicknamed huff-puff due to one's breathing normally at rest but becoming breathless with the slightest exertion. But now a new medical device is offering hope for patients with this generally untreatable form of heart failure. And joining us to share more about this promising medical breakthrough is cardiologist Dr. Rajeev Mohan and patient Amy Vasquez. Welcome.
Thank you.
Now, doctor, talk to us about this type of heart failure, what it looks like, and why it's so challenging to diagnose and treat.
Great question. Part of the issue with this type of heart failure is that it causes a pressure buildup in the heart and in the lungs. When that pressure builds up in the lungs, it causes people to be really breathless with even sometimes minimal activity. The challenging part about treating this is that a lot of the medicines that we use for other forms of heart failure just haven't panned out to be effective in this type of disease.
Treatments had previously been limited, but now Scripps La Jolla is one of a few dozen hospitals around the world testing a groundbreaking solution. Talk to us about the Corvia atrial shunt.
This device is meant to help reduce the pressures in the lungs by essentially creating a connection between the left side of the heart and the right side of the heart. So by decreasing the pressure in the left side of the heart and offloading some of that pressure, particularly with exertion, the theory is that we can decompress the lungs a bit and get patients breathing a little bit easier while they're exerting themselves.
And Amy, you were one of those cardiac patients. There was a time when you were struggling with extreme shortness of breath walking your dog. Talk to us about your symptoms, diagnosis, and your decision to enroll in a clinical trial.
I started to experience shortness of breath when walking on the beach. It started out very slowly, but got much severe. I wasn't able to climb stairs. I wasn't able to help my son even lift his surfboard onto our car. I couldn't walk my dogs up the hill at our house. My daily life was really a struggle. And so I did seek medical advice, and they were able to determine through some tests with an echocardiogram and then finally with what's called a right heart catheterization with exercise that I did have a problem with the pressure between my heart and my lungs. It's kind of a scary diagnosis. The longevity of somebody with this condition is only about 5 years without treatment. And so that alone just told me that I really needed to give this a try. We identified that there was something that was wrong, and the good news is that there was a clinical trial for a product, the Corvia shunt, that was available, and I met the initial criteria and decided to join the trial. So right before COVID hit, the first week of March, I did have the procedure.
And you were determined to have a long, active life. How long was it before you saw a difference, and how has this procedure changed your life?
I noticed the difference almost immediately. The first thing I did was I took my dogs out for a walk. We live on a cul-de-sac with a very big hill, and I had not been able to walk my dogs up the hill without just having to stop and huff and puff and on my way up. So it was literally a miracle to me that I was able to make it to the top of the hill without stopping. Within a year, I went with my son to Mexico, swam with the dolphins and with the seals. I did kayaking in the sea. And this summer, we went on a cruise to the Western Caribbean, and I walked up and down the stairs all over the cruise ship. My life is completely changed from where it was when I had all of the symptoms from the heart failure.
What a blessing.
It was. It is a blessing. It continues to be.
And if someone is watching right now and saying, that sounds like what I'm experiencing, what is your advice to them?
The best thing to do is to get checked out by your doctor. One of the easiest tests that we recommend doing when we're evaluating somebody with shortness of breath is doing what's called an echocardiogram. That's an ultrasound test of the heart that gives us a lot of great information about how the heart is doing, what the structure and function of the heart are like, and what the pressures are inside of the heart.
Talk to your cardiologist and ask if you might be a candidate for the Corvia atrial shunt clinical trial. Scripps La Jolla is accepting patients for this study. To learn more, visit the website on your screen. We thank you both for sharing your journey and this promising medical breakthrough.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we thank you for joining us on San Diego Living. We'll see you next time.